Go, boy!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with a brand new 3BG movie reviews with me and Sue. This time, talking Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Movie time, baby.
James Gunn's magnum opus to him finishing out his term in the MCU before he moves on to DC. I mean, he's already at DC, but moving on with those projects at DC. And I gotta say, he really put his foot in it, as Bullhorn would say. Put his ankle in it.
I had to say, just from seeing this, holy crap. Hey, Marvel, could we get more like this from now on?
It's kind of interesting when we talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe post Endgame. It's a lot of different degrees of people's feelings on it. We know, I argue with somebody about this and he don't want to admit it. A lot of people online and some off felt like in phase 4, and it's because of COVID, obviously, that this happened, but like we were being bombarded with so many back to back Marvel material from the movies and the TV stuff, and it felt very overwhelming.
Yeah, because and I think it's because they like I'm not going to try to put words in Marvel's mouths, but just from my perspective, the fact that we got bombarded with so much stuff I think it was because they were trying to provide entertainment to folks that were stuck in the house.
No, that's perfect. That is perfectly fine. I think that's the thing that was their whole thing, which I'm grateful for. And I just think for a lot of people, we were so used to the movies coming out sparingly, because even with phase 3 having so many movies that it did, you still were only 2-3 movies a year, which is still good, and that was it, right? Nobody counts Agents of Shield or the Netflix shows because those were so far removed from the movies, and
they weren't directly connected.
So now when you get these films and TV shows that are directly connected in some way, shape, or form, it created a sense of everybody being so overwhelmed with so many stuff, and it also played into the quality of the visuals of some of those movies. Me and Sue talked at length about stuff, and it really started at Thor: Love and Thunder. And Black Panther, like I said, Black Panther was a little bit better, but you can tell there was some shaky moments in that. And Ant-Man and the Wasp definitely was just like Thor: Love and Thunder, where it was like, hey, it had some good ones, and then it was like some, what was that kind of moments. So
more like me staring at this going, so this was the best y'all can do. This was the best rendering that could come out.
And we know a lot of that had to do with them trying to get stuff back on schedule, and they were speeding through stuff, which that's what you get. You get
like you cannot speed run the process of making a movie.
So, we get to Guardians 3, and I remember sitting back like, all right, man, let's just see where it goes. And this movie is hit top to bottom. Visual effects is great. Me and Sue talked about this offline, and that Sue mentioned the whole thing of it being, Rocket looking a bit more video gamey compared to these other ones.
Yeah, okay, that was something.
Not a bad video game.
No, not bad or anything. It was just something. It's just something I noticed. Like when you go back and like best way to sum it up is this: go back and watch everything from phase 3. Like, just look at all the stuff from phase 3, like where Rocket shows up in this movie, hell, or any of the Guardian of the Galaxy movies from phase 3.
Yeah, Volume 2 and Endgame.
Like Volume 2, Endgame, and
Infinity War. Yeah,
Infinity War. Like, just look at the CG on those, and then go back and watch this movie. And again, not to say that this is bad or anything. It's just when I see it look like this, I'm like, wow, James. Like this looked to me like this, like James Gunn hired the same VFX artist that he hired for his for the last Suicide Squad movie that came out.
King Shark.
Yeah, like King Shark. But
that's crazy because King Shark looked really good in that movie.
No, he did. And again, it's not a bad thing that I'm saying. What I'm saying is I can see the style. Like,
okay. I see what you're saying.
It's the style of the style of VFX. It's different from Infinity War, Endgame, and Guardians Volume 2.
You know what? Now that you think about it, because I think back, I think it goes into what I was saying. Because when I think back to you mentioned King Shark during the day, it was jarring because I was used to the original Suicide Squad film where everything was so dark lit. So when you
Yeah,
see King Shark in the daytime, it's like, okay, it looks good, but it's like, okay, that's CG. All right,
right. It's
that's cool.
it's
That's
like when
cool.
you see
It's
CG in
fine.
the daylight, you know it's CG.
Yeah, it's not like it's out of place. It just throws you off because you're used to CG being in a very like dark, semi-dark tone kind of thing to where it's like, is that real or is it fake? What's up? So Rocket in Endgame and Infinity War, it was like I think Infinity War was the one daytime scene that you saw Rocket in, but it was still that kind of the lighting of it was still like, it could be real, and stuff. But this time it's like, oh, this is brightly lit, so
Yeah,
we're gonna get
it's
this.
brightly it's brightly lit. It just had that, it just had that video game like feel to it. And
Yeah.
again, that's not a bad thing. I liked it. I definitely liked it for what it was. It was a very well put together movie.
Hmm.
Um, you notice the Gamora and Mantis, and you know what? You know who's another good example of this, CJ?
Hmm.
Uh Nebula. Notice how different Nebula looks now versus what she looked like in Endgame.
She's evolved as a character, definitely
Yeah,
visually.
and I'm not even talking about her with the freaking Mega Buster arm.
No,
I'm
no, no,
not even
no.
gonna go
Visually,
there with
it's
that.
definitely different. I think Gunn did take away some of the stuff that he did in the Suicide Squad film and imposed it, like you said, imposed it in Guardians. And I mean, it worked out definitely. But I can see how some people would be like, okay, give me a second to adjust.
Yeah, it's definitely, you're not gonna go one to one like, okay, Last Guardians and like seeing all the characters from Infinity War. All right, they look like this. You go into this movie like, whoa, who are you?
It's not that stark, but it's definitely like, all right, give me a second to adjust
I'm
my
like, okay, I
eyes to
need to
this a little bit.
adjust. Give me a minute.
Um,
How long is this movie? Okay, give me a minute.
so I guess the whole core of this story, it's kind of like the Guardians up to this point. They're this motley crew and team, and they've built up all the stuff that they did leading into Infinity War and Endgame, and it was always a question, even some of the stuff in Thor: Love and Thunder of what they were doing. But I think in this film, it's kind of like the Guardians have reached their place of what are they? Because the whole core of this movie is the Guardians have established themselves as heroes. They got a headquarters in nowhere. The team has been basically kind of figuring things out. Peter is still not over, Gamora from a different universe
Well,
not
Gamora
being
from
there.
four. Well, remember, it's Gamora from 4 years. No, sorry,
Three
Gamora
years,
from
3
20.
years,
Gamora, no, Gamora from
2012.
2014.
Yeah, 2014. So his Gamora is dead, and he's dealing with the Gamora before she joined up with the Guardians. She's in this universe now with the Ravagers, and he's kind of like, damn, I'm trying to get this thing that I had back, and it's not happening. And he's kind of going through that. And the team themselves, including Rocket, are figuring things out, including Mantis and Drax and Nebula and stuff. And essentially, they run amok of Adam Warlock, which is kind of the callback from Volume Two, where they basically shaded the not the High Evolutionary, but the Sovereign Empress. And
Mm.
Adam Warlock is coming there to basically make do on that. And what ends up happening is we get the origins to Rocket, who was created by the High Evolutionary, who is played by Chukwudi Awuji, who is a Nigerian British actor. And let me tell you, um, that man, I love him in Peacemaker. He is a great actor, and he literally makes you like hate the High Evolutionary in the best way that you want a villain to. You just want to hate a villain.
Like, imagine the architect from the Matrix,
Hmm.
but turned all the way up to 15.
This is a guy that's like he's basically like, yo, what if you High Evolutionary in the comics is literally like a god. He's a person that specializes in doing genetic, you know, tampering with genetics and creating creatures and stuff. And he has a very godlike hubris, and Uji basically just eats it up every scene.
That man saw that this movie was like, 3 hours and said, "Ooh, that's enough time to eat at a buffet. Therefore, I'm gonna have fun with this." Um, can I drop a hot bar real quick
Go
from
for it.
him?
Go for it.
No spoiler, no spoiler, nothing like that. It's just a line that he says that you can get that shit framed. I need
Mhm.
the like. I want to take the moment of when he said it and just have that quote framed, which was, "There is no God. That's why I stepped in."
Yeah, that is a guy that literally is all about like, yo, like, yeah, that is the high evolutionary right there. Um, in the comics, I told Sue this. He's a guy who basically kind of took the stuff that Sinister was doing and really amped it up times 100. And boom, he's out here doing genetic stuff in the cosmic universe and such. And it's like, oh shit. So in this movie, he's the one that created Rocket, and him creating this counter Earth. Um, and it was a great moment. This again, this isn't a spoiler, but like he mentions at one point how he wanted an Earth that's free of racism and and all this and stuff. And I thought it was funny because here's this guy who's playing God and he's trying to create the perfect world, but in a way, he's kind of taking away people's free will in a way.
That's exactly what it was. This is why I said, like when I watched it, I said, "Dude, he's the architect from the
Yeah,
Matrix."
yeah. Except he isn't doing a fucking rant about this, like this is the Matrix, and clicking a pin and shit.
Yeah, he's not. Well, that's the thing. He doesn't even have to do a rant. He could just simply say, the very first time I made the Matrix, I made everyone happy. Everything was perfect.
Mhm.
But then I was frustrated and I didn't like it. Therefore, I hit Control Alt Delete and completely
Oh boy,
wiped everything
look,
and did it all over again,
there's a moment he
bro. And
does
that,
something similar to that.
and by the time by the time we got to that moment in the Matrix movie, Neo, when he first learns about this, my man said, "By the way, this is Zion 6.0
Yeah, and I mean, in this movie,
version 6.0."
Neo's like
It's like,
6. Are
what?
you
You thought
fucking
you were
kidding
the
me?
only what? You thought you were the one. You do know there's
No,
been
bro.
5 others before you.
5 others before you, dog. You ain't special. But that's the thing with this one, High Evolutionary, he's trying to tap into the upper limits of the potential of people, hence him doing all that. And it was just kind of interesting seeing his hubris grow and grow. And here is Rocket is his one creation that he's been trying to,
The one
be
he
like,
got right, and he doesn't even know how he got it right.
yeah, he's just trying to figure it out, which when you watch it, it's just funny seeing him really just break down. It's like, bruh, like that happens when you make creations. Sometimes it's a happy accident.
Yes. That man clearly does not know anything about Bob Ross as much as he tried to copy Earth and call it Counter Earth.
But yeah, so between
Call it
that,
a happy little accident.
so between so
Rocket is your little tree and the farmhouse on your painting.
and I love it because it's like him really at by any means to try to track down Rocket results in him using Adam Warlock, who if unless you're a 40 plus year old person that really cares about Adam Warlock, at the end of the day, the way they use Adam Warlock in this movie was actually pretty good. Because in the comics, he was the person that actually turned the tide in the Infinity Gauntlet saga, essentially. And a lot of people thought he was going to pop up in Infinity War Endgame. He didn't. So now his role
Instead
is a
they
bit
gave
different.
instead they gave that moment to Captain Marvel.
So now it's like, Adam Warlock in this movie is pretty much the hired muscle, so to speak, except, and I like the twist on it. It's like, he got out of his cocoon early.
A little too
Little
early.
little early, which and it makes sense because at first they could have just said, "Oh, he's just this character that's just a child for no reason." It's like, "Oh no, he didn't stay in the cocoon long." That makes total sense now. It makes sense. Got you.
Bruh, I got I got Secret of the Ooze vibes of Token Razar.
Except not that fucking dumb, but it's
Not
definitely
that
like,
dumb, but it
oh
just
hell
gave me
no.
that moment. because think about it, when he first shows up, I was like, holy crap, this guy's like, this guy's doing damage. Like this is gonna be our like we're gonna like Guardians got they're gonna have a double dose of a main bad guy to deal with. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you can do that. You
But
can
the great,
stop him. Like, okay, movie. All right.
yeah.
How much
But
time left? Like, we still got 2 more hours.
and again, this isn't a spoiler, but like the greatest thing about that character is that over the course of the movie, he gradually starts picking up on a lot of stuff, and I like that. They didn't just stick with him for just this one note thing. Like there's a progression in his character figuring shit out over the course of the film by the time you get to the end of the film. And it's like, all right, cool. I'm glad you didn't just stick them in just this box and just stay with that the whole fucking movie. It's like, no, everybody has, and I think that's the greatest thing about this film is that everybody has an evolution throughout this film. Well,
They did the one
Groot
thing.
side.
They did the one thing with with Adam Warlock, and this is something that I've been very happy with Marvel for doing. They didn't phase one this movie.
Nah. It's. I think
Like
that's credit.
they didn't phase one Adam Warlock or anything. Like they kept, they made sure that this is an evolution of the phases of Marvel. Like they don't have to stick to the three, the 3-act roadmap that they did for the last 3 phases.
They kind of base it like on a comic book. Like when you read a comic book and you read these characters, if the characters for whatever reason decide to split, well, the Guardians book is going to continue because we have these characters now, and that's essentially how these movies have always operated. They've operated by themselves, much like the Ant-Man movies in the Marvel universe, but they have those connections. Like
Yeah,
you can watch the Guardians movies by themselves and still be like, all right, cool, I can dig it,
yeah,
and then keep moving.
kind of like, remember that ending that we got back in, I think it was like phase 2,
Mhm.
where I think you remember this. Remember we got that quick ending shot where the quote unquote, I guess, B squad Avengers was, I
Oh,
think
the
it
Ravagers.
was,
Yeah, it was basically the OG team from the comics, but they're the Ravagers now, basically.
no. I'm talking about they were there at Stark, like at Stark Labs, where it was Vision, like it was Vision, Thor, Wanda, and like 2 other people, and I'm like, huh. So this is what happens when Cap's not there.
Oh yeah. From Infinity. Yeah, it was that whole broken up squad. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and oh yeah, and Falcon was part of them too.
Falcon Widow, Cap as Nomad, and yeah, that makes sense.
And I said, huh. And y'all did nothing with that. Like, huh?
I mean, they did
They
in
did for one movie. I think that
Civil
was
War,
for Civil War.
which I was fine with because I mean that's it and stuff. But but it still gave you an idea like, oh, this crew has been together for a minute and they finally got a mission. But I feel you and stuff. But like I think that was the greatest thing about this film. Like even like Drax and like for example, like Drax and Nebula, their characters, they realize like, yo, we're the adults. We have to be the adults in the room, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we don't want to be that way. Like, Peter Quill, like his character is him accepting that, hey, shit is what it is. People move on. You're gonna have to move on and figure things out and stuff. Especially for him, he has to move on from the old Gamora that he knows, and we get this Gamora. Even down to Mantis, she's finally realizing like, yo, she's just tired of everybody's shit. She went from
Most
she
definitely.
she went from being this happy-go-lucky character to like, yo, I am tired of all y'all's fucking bullshit. No, we're stop, fucking stop.
Like I try to be the moral compass. I try to be the support, the shoulder to cry on. Like, but damn it,
I can't do this. And I will say this.
3 movies of this.
And I think that's what makes this movie great is that the characters finally live up to what people wanted out of those characters in the first 2 films and stuff. And I'm happy for that. If you played the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, this movie has that energy of the video game in terms of the characters' dynamics with one another, and I like that. And it's why I think as much as people are kind of can't make heads or tails of this film, you're going to go into it really liking it 100%.
Yeah.
I really can't see any people really like, I hate this. It's like, no, they did a really good job of doing that. And the funny thing is, I hate to say it this way, I think it's I saw some reviewers talk about how like, oh man, this movie is so super serious and dark, even though it makes the comedy in it, jarring. And I'm like, no, it's not. If you've watched the Guardians, this is basically it right here. It's just the only difference is they just amped up the darkness, cranked it up to 10 with the fucking animal shit to really tug at your heartstrings, with
Yeah.
Rocket, which it worked. Fuck, I was like, damn, that's insane. But that's the case. But again, back to what we say about the High Evolutionary, that's what makes us hate the High Evolutionary as a good villain. Like this, they showed everything and show how much of a dick he is, and I'm glad for that. There was no like trying to humanize him. It's like, oh no, you can't humanize this shit. Mm-mm.
And you always get the classic, like like the classic line of good, like of hero versus villain of like you're trying to do this. No, I'm not trying to conquer the universe. I'm trying to perfect it.
Best line that he said too. He was like, no, I'm not trying to take over the universe. The fuck you no. The
It's
hell?
like take over the universe.
My nigga made his own planet. The fuck he needs to take over the universe
Like, what
for?
do I need to take? Like, seriously, what do I need to take over something that I can literally create?
again, again, this is why I love this character so much. It's like he's the High Evolutionary. He created his own fucking planet.
It's like asking me. It's like asking me to order Domino's when I own a chain of Pizza Huts.
Or even to your Matrix example with the architect. Architect's like, take over Earth. The fuck up. Why?
Like, what?
I made the Matrix, dog. The hell no. I just
Like, I made the Matrix.
I'll just reset this shit. I'll just
the Matrix.
I'll just reset this shit and just chill. What are you talking about? Like, I don't need to conquer Earth.
Like, do you see that big red button on the wall? It's all covered in glass with a sign that says "In case shit happens," like in case shit hits the fan, break it.
Oh man, I even go down. I will say this: out of all the characters that pop up here, I'll even go down to the fucking Cosmo popping up, because if you watch the Guardians, Cosmo popped up in Volume 2 briefly, but like Cosmo, the dog, comes up in the holiday special very prominently. And I was glad the character was in this movie pretty prominently as well, because again, that's a character that's part of the Guardians. Cosmo the space dog got psionic abilities, and I love that they kept everything, even down to the spacesuit on the dog, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of like, I thought that was cool to see Cosmo, and Cosmo wasn't the only person to get a cameo appearance. There was also someone else that showed up, and I was like, oh, thank God you showed up, and not just for like a 5-second blinking, you missed it.
I mean, well, Howard the Duck, that one.
Yeah, Howard the Duck.
Yeah, not gonna say the scene. We ain't gonna say the scene, but when he pops up, it's like, oh, that's cool. They didn't forget. Which again, that's James Gunn for you. He'll sit there and call back to like, yo, Howard the Duck is still here. You know that, right?
Exactly. He was there in the end. He was actually there in Infinity War fighting with everybody.
Yeah, so yeah, Howard the Duck is here. It's Howard the Duck. We ain't gonna give you a movie, but we will put him in there, So it's
like, no, he had his time for a movie. He does not need another one.
Hey, I would say the big shocker though that threw me off was fucking Sylvester Stallone popping back up as the Ravager, Stakar.
Well, it was one of those things where you kind of had to bring him back because we're not getting Michael Rooker.
Oh yeah, that was never gonna happen. Which I'm glad they didn't do no resurrection. He's back and shit,
Yeah,
which I'm glad for and stuff. But it was good seeing them and calling back the Ravagers. And like I said, that's James Gunn. It's like, no, we're gonna bring the Ravagers back, and this is what they're gonna be used for. And I thought that was good. I thought the locales for some of the planets they went to was pretty dope, including one planet that was made of like a human. Well, I can't say it was a human skin, whatever.
Oh, you talking about that? You talking about the place where they go to get the information on Rocket?
Yeah, that place.
Yeah, it's actually like a living plant. It's basically like a living planet.
Yeah, it's very visually like, that's different. It's not just, oh, here's another planet, except it's red or some
here's
shit.
Here's like a giant oversized space station that's been here for God knows how long.
No, it's great because even the stuff on Counter Earth is actually pretty dope. I like the visuals of Counter Earth because it's literally what you expect a counter Earth to be. It's like, oh, that's what that is. I ain't gonna spoil what it is, but when you guys see it, it's actually pretty nice. I actually love it. But
It
yeah,
was hilarious.
the planet locales, even down to the the soundtrack for this movie works.
Soundtrack was good, definitely good. Um, I need to stop being lazy and go pick up all three Guardians of the Galaxy soundtracks on vinyl.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, look, when you start off your movie with Radiohead's "Creep," I mean, I'm just saying, like that tells you that. I think that I like the fact that that set the tone for what you were getting from this movie.
Oh, we get "Come Get Your Love" by freaking Redbone.
Yeah, yeah. Volume one set it off of like, oh, this is gonna be a fun, whimsical movie, and then you get Volume three, "Creep," and I'm like, oh.
Volume 3 hit us with "Creep." Um, I remember at the end of Volume 1 they gave us Jackson 5.
Yeah, but this one when
with
you start over,
baby Groot dancing. Which, by
yeah,
the way, Groot was awesome in this movie.
yeah, I like the roided out Groot.
Like, did you notice that he kept getting bigger throughout the movie?
Dog, it's like it's like what did Stark say to fucking what's his face? Are you juicing? Pretty
Yeah,
good.
he's like, have you been juicing?
Like Groot's been on all natty baby. But nah, even Groot
Got that
was
alkaline in his life.
Groot is great in this film. There is a special moment that he does in this film, which no spoilers is actually pretty like, oh, wasn't expecting that. So but yeah, overall this was definitely a great book into the MC to Guardians of the Galaxy, trilogy and such. And I think it's one of those situations where I think folks are going to really go back and watch all three movies and really appreciate the movies for what they did for these characters, for sure.
Oh, most definitely. In
So,
fact, I would like to ask the question for anyone that goes to see this film. Uh, After you see it, ask yourself this. Well, if you got an answer for me, this is my question to you. Is this the perfect trilogy?
so that's a tough one, man, because Cap had a pretty solid trilogy. Um, I was gonna say low key Ant Man, but like Ant Man 3, I gotta go back and rewatch again because I need to make sure. I still wouldn't put Ant Man as like a strong trilogy, but it's what the Ant Man trilogy to me is like the Back to the Future trilogy to me, where it's like, all right, yeah, first two, great, third one, okay, it's fine, it works, it gets to the finish line. That's all I asked. That's what.
Ant-Man 3, I just say it's a movie.
Hey, look, it got look.
It exists.
I said that for Back to the Future 3. It's like, look, I enjoyed 3, but like, is anybody really like praising 3 to high heavens compared to the first two? Not really.
No, but at the same time, they were competent in at least 3 was competent in telling its story.
Yeah.
I always told a competent story.
I always say Ant-Man 3, it's just the fact of they really whiplash you with the first two, after the first two, where everything was on Earth. It was, heist and whimsical adventures. And then they threw the whiplash. All right, we're gonna throw you into this world. And it's like, whoa, hey, pump the brakes here. Like, why, that kind of shit. And I think that was one of my big summation after letting that movie digest, where it's like, yeah, that was kind of like a tonal whiplash to go from this to that. It's like
with them graphics.
Yeah, like I said again, competent VFX, but when you watch Guardians 3, you're like, wow, thank you. We're finally getting some level of competency where they actually took their time. Like, damn, thank you. That's all we ask. Just take your time with your visual effects and everything else will be good,
So this is what happens when you don't have a gun pointed at everybody's back.
Get it done in a month, that kind of shit. So but I would definitely say this definitely will be in the running as like a good solid trilogy. I put it up there with definitely the Cap trilogy for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because that's a hard feat to actually give you 3 solid films in a trilogy. And that's it's rare, very rare. I mean, when you run it down, I think Indiana Jones was probably the last one before they went to the 4th one and now this 5th one. But like that OG Indiana Jones trilogy was that shit was like top tier fucking stuff.
That's very true. Very true.
I mean, Godfather 3 not so much, so that's why the Godfather series is.
No,
You know what?
no.
You know what? I put Ant-Man on the Godfather trilogy series. There it is. There it is. I got my
Well, no,
connection.
see that doesn't work, and I can tell
How's-
you, and I'll tell you
why?
why it doesn't work.
Why?
Because the third one didn't take like 15 years to come out after the second.
True. I'm just saying. I'm just saying in terms of quality. That's all I'm
In
saying.
terms of quality, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Come on.
fine.
Let's be real. Who's really talking about Godfather 3 in a positive?
No one.
Exactly.
The only time you ever talk about that movie is to make fun of it.
It's like Godfather 3, it happened. The Vatican, yay! It's like, all right, I would like a mulligan on that. That'd be nice.
Like we're ever gonna go in? Like we're ever gonna go in on that story? No. Okay.
Cash grab it is. But nah, the Guardians 3, definitely a solid film. You'll love it. Definitely go see it. We got a couple more films that we're going to be talking about after this that I think you guys are going to definitely love, because we're finally starting to. If Ant-Man was the prelude to all this, Guardians 3 is definitely the start of the summer movie madness of things going and stuff at this stage, because we got Fast 10 coming up.
Yeah, we definitely got
Fast 10 Part 1, because I think they're doing another one after
Part
this. So.
1.
Yeah, they didn't say Part 1 visibly, but Fast 10 is coming, and we about to get back to family again. So, amongst other movies that's dropping. So, can't wait. Cannot wait. So, yeah, definitely go check out Guardians 3. You'll love it. And yeah, we'll catch you guys later.
See you next
time. Any last words, or you got nothing? Are you good?
Oh, definitely go see this movie day one. Please experience it in IMAX.
The IMAX is great. The sound and all that stuff hits so good.
You won't regret your decision.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Deuce.
That boy is Benny Hanna.